From time to time, I often think about the greatest people that ever lived and that have truly made a difference in the world. And one of the things that I really think about is that almost all of them, if not all of them, were willing to die for what they believed in. In Christianity, we say that you have a calling. I think in Hinduism or Buddhism, it's called the Dharma. Your reason to live, your purpose in life, what you have to accomplish in this world. Some people call it what, destiny. Um, there's different words for it, synonyms, and meanings behind that. And when I think about certain people, for instance, sometimes I think about a man called Huey P. Newton. Huey P. Newton is a man who created the Black Panther Party movement, and he was a smart man, so he was just tired of police brutality in the neighborhood, in black communities, basically, and he knew the law, so he looked at um, the amendment rights in America, and he realized or remembered that the Second Amendment says that American citizens have a right to own guns. So because of that, what he did is he used that right as a reason to start the Black Panther Party, which is why sometimes when you see the Black Panther Party, if you were to Google the Black Panther Party, you'll see that most of them carry weapons. And this was basically a statement towards the police that, look, we're not just going to die, we're going to protect ourselves, which makes sense. I mean, you're just not going to die for no reason, right? So you need a reason. And obviously, he did this with his friend Bobby Seale. And he was basically the head of the party, and Bobby Seale was the spokesperson because Huey P. Newton was a bit shy. Think of Moses and Aaron. Moses was not the most eloquent speaker, but Aaron was. Not necessarily the most eloquent as well, but yeah, he was the mouthpiece. So that was the same with Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. And when they were in jail, another man by Fred Hampton took the mantle of leader in their absence. But when you think about it, even Malcolm X was willing to die for what he believed in, which in the later part of his career was human rights. Mandela also stated just before he went to jail that he's willing to die for what he believes in. Why am I bringing this up? This is basically connected to my previous video about God-given talents. I think we cannot just talk about God-given talents and not talk about your calling, which basically goes hand in hand with the gifts or the talent that God has given you. Because God can give you a gift, right? But if you're not willing to die for what you believed in, if you're not willing to die for that gift that God has given you, then it might just lie dormant. You might not even pursue your goal. You might not have the drive to pursue your goal to the last degree. You do have people, you have starving artists who are willing to die for what they believe in instead of selling out and getting a 9 to 5. You have people who are actually out in the field who are actually facing dangerous situations, who are really in the line of duty, who believe that they were born to protect other people or fight for other people. They believe that is their destiny. You have people who are willing to go above and beyond what they're called to do, so that they can make a difference in this world. You have people like, your firefighters, your police, and soldiers, and so on. But, even people like singers, dancers, whoever, who had to fight their parents to tell them or to inform them or to make them realize that this is what they were born to do. This is what they are supposed to do, not because it's the in thing, not because there's a celebrity that's doing something trendy or this is the best thing currently, but because they were born with this deep desire to make a difference in that specific field. You have parents who force their kids to become doctors, but you find that the person wants to become a painter, and maybe the person's paintings actually make people feel better about themselves. I know a lot of entertainers. Aline Klosky. Aline Klosky is a co-creator of Rugrats. She was pregnant at the time when they made Rugrats, so she wanted to make a cartoon series about kids. And one of the questions that Hector Navarro asked, Navarro created a podcast or was part of a podcast, the Nickelodeon podcast. It's actually, Hector Navarro that podcast actually is one of the podcasts, if not the podcast, that made me invest in podcasts, to be more interested in podcasts than any other thing, like TV or whatever. But anyway, to cut the long story short, Hector Navarro asked Aline Klosky what happens when she meets people who used to watch Rugrats as kids. Because if you remember, Rugrats was released in the early 90s. And Aline said a lot of people who lost people, like maybe they they lost their parents, or maybe they were depressed, or they had anxiety or whatever, they used to watch Rugrats as an escape, and it helped them to cope with whatever it is that they were dealing with. And a lot of entertainers say that. If you really watch a lot of entertainers' interviews, they'll tell you that one of the things that they really appreciate about their line of work is that when they encounter fans, when they meet up with fans either at Comic-Con or just in the street, they usually tell them that, look, dude, your character and the show that you were in changed my life. I mean, I was listening to a podcast recently by Jeremy Piven. Jeremy Piven played a character called Ari Gold. Ari Gold is a character in a series called Entourage, and Ari Gold is one of the best agents in the entertainment business in that universe. And actually, Ari Gold was actually based on a real person called Ari, who's a real agent. So Ari Gold would be an agent for like an athlete, an actor, a singer, and all of that. And he said that he met a guy who told him that I'm an agent because of you. Right. So you meet people who are so inspired by what you do that they either want to do exactly what you do because maybe they also got the same drive. They could see your hunger. They could see your drive. Or you meet people who get healing therapy, because of something that you do, either the music that you produced, either a movie that you were part of, either a painting, either a poem that you wrote, either a conversation that you had with them, either an interview that they saw of you in it, either a comedy special that you made. So that's why I keep saying that do not bury your talent. Do not think your ideas are small or stupid. Continue to do what you believe God has created you to do. Fulfill whatever it is that you believe that you should do before you die. You should also be part of the people that say that I run the race. I finished my course. To say it is finished. You need to be someone who says that I did all I could, instead of saying I wish I could have. Right. So I don't think God just gives you a talent. He gives you the drive to pursue whatever it is that he wants you to do through that talent. And sometimes it dies out because you become really comfortable in something else that you were not supposed to do to begin with. Sometimes money can make you forget, not necessarily forget, but it can make you do something else that you're not really supposed to do. So imagine how life could have been like if Jesus did not want to fulfill his purpose on this earth. Imagine if Jesus just wanted to be a carpenter. You know what I mean? So there are certain sacrifices that you would have to take so that you fulfill your purpose on this earth. And you must be willing to die for it. Unfortunately, as scary as that sounds, but I think it is that drive, it is that level of bravery, it is that commitment that will actually get you to doing the most revolutionary things out there. Some of the best things that you've ever done in your entire life. Some of the things that will make people read and understand and say, truly this person gave it his or her best in their performance, in their literary work, in everything that they did. So please, do not bury your talent. Do not bury your talent. As much as we like talking about the story of the talents, I think what we need to take away from that story is that burying your talent is possibly the worst thing that you can ever do, especially if your talent was given to you by God, because he doesn't want it back. He does not want it back. So I guess that's all I could say for today. There's so much I want to say. There's a lot that's happening in my mind at the same time. I always feel like my mind is like it's like rush hour in my head, right? There's always like a traffic jam in my head of ideas and concepts and things that I would like to share at the same time, and it's like one huge intersection in my head. But anyway, have an awesome night, guys.